If you want to be more effective in your work and in your life, and you'd like to have more confidence that you're meeting your intentions, this is where it begins. Welcome to Do Busy Right, helping you organize your information and manage your attention so that they work for you, not against you. We educate you and encourage you by discussing ways to be more effective, not more exhausted. Let's do busy right. Hi there. If you're listening to this in real time when it's released, it's Thanksgiving week here in the US. I assume all my listeners are US based, but Thanksgiving week is the Thursday where we all take the day off, and most of us have the Friday off as well. And I'm in the same boat in the sense that I would like to take some holiday time off and spend it with people that are important to me. And so that's going to be the content of the podcast today. One of the things that really bugs me, first, I'll say one of the things that really bugs me about the American work culture is the way that many of us are expected to, the culture many of us deal with around vacation time and off time generally. And I refer to it as the 60-0-60 model of vacation. And perhaps you experience this. Your company and your people, your team are perfectly happy for you to take some time off, but there is no provision for other people to do your work. And so you wind up the week before, you're going to take a week of vacation. The week before, you wind up putting in 60 hours, making sure that everything's in place and you're all prepped. And then the week after, you take a week off, and maybe you're able to not pay attention to emails and not pay attention to what's going on at work. Maybe you're able to unplug from that. But whether you are or not, then when you get back, the Monday after vacation is one of the more dreaded work days in the history of work days, because there's going to be a huge pile of stuff that's waiting for you. And I really don't like that model. I really don't. I wish that we could change that. But it's ingrained in the culture now. And, a lot of us are that way for days off or whatever. And I don't like it. So I'm not going to implement it in my own job. So if I'm actually going to take, Thanksgiving Day and the Friday after Thanksgiving Day is one of my favorite days to take off as well. If I'm actually going to do that, then there's got to be some work this week that doesn't get done. And I've heard other podcasters brag about how they have some episodes up under the step for just such an occasion. And, at the end of the day, I think it's fair enough. I think and I'll tell you what to do, because this is going to be very short and it's very ad lib. It's going to be very short. And I'll tell you what to do. If you don't want to do that, then I'll give you some other options. Okay. But think about it when you take vacation, and how can you organize things such that when you take vacation, you're actually taking vacation. If you happen to be a boss, how can you organize such that when people take time off in your organization, that they literally are not responsible for the work that gets done during their off time, that somebody else handles it, or we pull in a contractor or something else happens. And so there's not this huge deal when they get back to work. Because with that hanging over your head, it's almost impossible to unplug. That's why we get on email while we're on vacation. It's because we dread that Monday so much that we're going to spend some of our vacation time defending against it. So y'all all know, I think, what I'm talking about. And if you're not in that situation, then you've got a lot to be thankful for on Thanksgiving. And so I'm not going to implement that in my business. I'm not going to implement the 60-0-60 model in my business, whether I have team members or not. So I'm taking some time away from the podcast here this week. I'll be back next week. So what you'll find from that is this is going to be very short. It's very ad lib. It's not as polished as would sometimes be the case. So when I stop talking, I've got a task for you to do. And that is, so typically my podcasts are 50 minutes, 55 minutes, sometimes an hour. And this one's not going to be near that. So I want you to take the difference between the time you spend listening to this podcast and an hour. It's probably going to be 40 or 45 minutes. I want you to take that time and go give it to somebody as an act of gratitude, as an act of thankfulness for their presence in your life. Holidays are a fairly unique context in the United States, typically, where we see family that we don't see often, and they've got time to devote to relationship building, and we've got time to devote to relationship building. So take this opportunity, this context that you have that's presented to you, and utilize the additional time that you're not spending listening to me and give that to somebody else in terms of attention to them and build relationship with them. And I think you'll have a much, much happier Thanksgiving week, or whenever you listen to this. If you listen to it and it's not Thanksgiving where you are, I sure am sorry. I guess I should have done this podcast last week, but it wasn't motivated last week. So here we are. So maybe, you hear this after Thanksgiving and you think about the same thing in terms of the next holiday in the U.S., which is Christmas. And then we'll all take some time off. And instead of trying to pack some more work in there, maybe use some of that time for relationship building, which is the single most important quadrant 2 task. So go do busy right. And doing busy right is knowing when not to be busy. And so take the additional time that you would have spent listening to this and go and give your attention to somebody you care about. Maybe somebody that you hadn't seen in a while. And just pay attention to them and have that meaningful kind of conversation and build relationship. And a lot of times relationship building is, in fact, doing busy right. We'll be back next week with a more typical episode. Don't get into the 060 trap this holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving season. And I'll leave it there for now. This is Larry Tribble, Ph.D. Thanks for taking some time to improve your task and information management on the Do Busy Right podcast. The show is dedicated to helping you think about how to get better at working. And we do this by improving your attention and your focus. I believe that your work is not just about your job, but about all the tasks that you do to turn yourself, your environment, and your relationships into what you want them to be. What we're really talking about here is the underpinnings of becoming who you want to be. The primary way I help people is through coaching the Attention Compass process. Attention Compass is 4 workflows and a tool set that support our information, task, and attention management. I help people with big goals to build habits that put them in a position to achieve. We do this by eliminating wasted time and wasted attention. If you'd like to know more, you can find me on LinkedIn or go to dobusyright.com for more information. Have a good week, more effective and less exhausted. Do busy right.